I've been listening and reading.
You been reading now?
I read. I've been reading about your leaders, Reverend Al, Mr. Dude, Sharp Tone, Jesse. Keep hope alive.
Don't talk about Jesse.
A scene from Do the Right Thing, the most exciting film of the year so far. And this special edition of Siskel and Ebert is devoted to the filmmaker who created Do the Right Thing, 32-year-old Spike Lee, a serious filmmaker in frivolous times, especially this summer. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. The place to start on this special edition devoted to Spike Lee is obviously with the new film that's going to be the center, I think, of a lot of comment and controversy in the weeks to come. The name of the movie is Do the Right Thing, and when it had its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival in France, there was an immediate storm of reaction. Some people saying the film was a call to racial violence, others saying it was one of the most fair-minded and honest films ever made about race in America. I was a member of the second group. I think this is a great film. The movie takes place in a Brooklyn neighborhood around a pizzeria owned by an Italian-American named Sal, who stayed behind when the neighborhood turned black. One of his customers wants to know about all the white faces on the restaurant's Wall of Fame.
Yo, Mook.
A couple words of time.
Okay.
Mookie.
So you know I'm still...
What?
Come here, no brothers up on the wall.
Man, ask Sal, right?
Hey, Sal, how come we got no brothers up on the wall here?
You want brothers on the wall? Get your own place. You can do what you want to do.
That's Danny Aiello as the pizzeria owner. Two of his sons work in the restaurant with him, and in this scene, one of them, played by John Turturro, is confronted by the pizzeria's delivery man, who is played by Spike Lee himself.
Pino, who's your favorite basketball player?
Magic Johnson.
Who's your favorite movie star?
Eddie Murphy.
Who's your favorite rock star? Prince. You're a Prince fan.
Boss, Bruce.
Prince.
Bruce.
Pino, all you ever talk about is nigga this and nigga that. And all your favorite people are so-called niggas.
Sal thinks he understands his regular customers pretty well, even a local character named Radio Raheem, who is named after his giant boombox.
No service till you turn that off.
2 slices.
Turn it up. Mr. Radio Raheem, I can't even hear myself think. You are disturbing me. You are disturbing my customers.
For 20 years, Sal has made his living in the neighborhood. Now one of his sons thinks it's time to pack up and move out.
I'm sick of niggas. It's like I come to work. It's Planet of the Apes. I don't like being around them. The animals.
And the frankness of that dialogue there is typical of the entire movie. Do the Right Thing starts out as a slice of life, a day in the life of this Brooklyn neighborhood, but by the end of the film, one of the characters will be dead and a riot will have taken place. One of the shocking things about the film is how much the violence at the end really surprises us, and yet when we look back over the film, how clearly we could see it coming. Do the Right Thing does not have good guys and bad guys, and in fact, one of the film's biggest surprises comes when one of the characters that we really like commits a violent act. What Spike Lee is doing here is throwing out all of the cliches and all of the nice, soft, soothing reassurances that we like to give ourselves about life in America, and showing step by step how everyday events can lead up to a racial incident, an incident that grows out of a long history of racism in America.
Now, among the many things I like about Spike Lee's work, and Do the Right Thing in particular, is the way he fills the screen with memorable characters who have great depth despite relatively small amounts of screen time. For example, we get to meet Mookie's sister, Jade, and a political activist named Buggin' Out. He's the one that wants to put some of those pictures of blacks on Sal's Wall of Fame.
Look, you don't know this, but I'm organizing a boycott of Sal's famous.
Why? What'd he do?
You know them pictures he got hanging up on the Wall of Fame.
So?
So? You wake up. Don't you know something? You know something about him?
No, Buggin' Out, I haven't.
You know, you're wasting my time. You just leave that alone. You should. You really should.
Hey, yo, move!
I'm gone.
Another impressive quality of this film and Spike Lee's work in general, his strong use of music to set the mood. For example, this encounter between the two oldest members of the cast, Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. The music recalls the films of the 50s, the era in which these people came alive.
I thought you might like these. I guess not. There is nothing like the smell of fresh flowers. Don't you agree, mother, sister?
It's as if the characters in a Spike Lee movie each has his own theme music. The use of music is really a throwback to classic filmmaking with wall-to-wall sound that is deeply evocative of the emotional point of every scene. I haven't tried it, but I think you could listen to the musical score of a Spike Lee movie, and certainly this one, and very clearly recall the emotions of the film as they were taking place. Spike Lee's main composer, by the way, is his father, jazz artist Bill Lee.
You know, your mention of the music in this film makes me think back over all of his films, and we're going to get back to all of his films later on in the show, and realize that what he's trying to do in each film is to give himself a certain amount of freedom. His movies are serious, yet at the same time they have scenes that are obviously intended just primarily to be funny. There are almost always, in every one of his films, one or more musical sequences that break out of the reality level so that the people are acting as if they're in a musical comedy, and then they go back to reality again. And there's always eroticism. There is always a scene or more than one scene in which the people make love to each other, not in a sexy way or not for a sexy purpose, but to show that stage or that side of their relationship, so that these people are seen not just, you know, in lockstep with this is a serious movie and we're going to develop one serious point after another, but also in terms of their sexuality, in terms of their of the music in their lives, in terms of the funny things in their lives.
Well, what you're describing is a whole tapestry of filmmaking. And what impresses me, and the reason why, because I'm sure some people are wondering, why are we devoting a special half hour to someone who's only 32 years old and made only 3 feature films, when we've previously done tributes to people like Spielberg and Lucas and Kubrick and these, because this guy, to me at least, has all the ammunition of a great filmmaker and shows it. We are living in very simple filmmaking times. Not this guy. Every element. I have small characters, little tiny characters, full rich. We know everything about them, it seems, just when they pop on the screen. You've talked about all the sexual side, political side. Everything seems to be there, and it's exciting to see.
Well, when I saw Do the Right Thing, which is about a neighborhood in Bedford-Stuyvesant, I was reminded of another great film early in a career, and that was Mean Streets by Martin Scorsese, which was about Italian Americans on the Lower East Side of New York. Both films seem to have the same kind of energy about the neighborhoods that these people are familiar with. Spike Lee has made 3 features, as Gene said. He also made an hour-long student film, several music videos, and some TV commercials. And on the basis of that work, a lot of people think he's one of the most promising movie directors in America. When we come back, a look at Lee's first big success, She's Gotta Have It. Continuing our special edition on the films of director Spike Lee, Lee's first feature-length film was She's Gotta Have It, which was a hit at the Director's Fortnight of the 1986 Cannes Film Festival, and then went on to be a big success at the box office, kind of a surprise success. In the film, Spike himself played a key character, a fast-talking con artist named Mars Blackman. A lot of Americans got their first look at Spike Lee when he played the same character in this TV commercial where he directed basketball star Michael Jordan.
Yo, this is Mars Blackman, and this is my main man, Michael Jordan, and this is a pair of tight Air Jordans from Nike. This is something you can buy, and this is a patented, vicious, high-flying 360 slam dunk. This is something you cannot do.
And that character, there is a version of the characters that Spike plays in almost all of his movies, kind of the fast-talking sideman who comments on all of the action.
What I like about that commercial and all of his work is that he just seems a lot smarter. The film seems smarter. Yeah. This you can do, this you can buy, this you can't do. It just is, it's the way people talk. It's just smart. She's Gotta Have It was made independently for only $175,000, with Spike Lee as one of many suitors for the affections of a woman called Nola Darling. Everyone in this picture wants to sleep with her, including the irrepressible little Mars.
You know, we could put a divider right here. We'll have a roommate and me, but never know I'm here.
You're right, I'll never know. How come every time I let a guy up here, the first thing they want to do is move in?
Well, you work, you got a nice crib, and you're fine.
One of the goals of the film is to open our eyes to the way young men treat women, with 3 of Nola's suitors viewing her as a prize to be won.
Honey, this food is absolutely delicious.
Don't listen to him, it's better than delicious.
Honey, for dessert, try some of my homemade
sweet potato pie. You love it.
Also, I brought bottles of Martinelli's sparkling cider.
Wait. I didn't know. I was supposed to bring something. Nola, why didn't you tell me?
You didn't have to bring anything.
It's okay?
It's okay.
It's okay?
It's okay.
I didn't bring nothing.
You're fine.
It's okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure this film means different things to different people. For me, it's really an essay in praise of women, and that's so rare in films, black films in particular. Nola Darling stands for all women who are tired of being clawed at by men, who want just a little honesty, who are tired of sexual games. She's Gotta Have It is good fun with a sexual political agenda, good times and ideas being the hallmarks of Spike Lee's work.
What he does in this film, and you see him doing it all through his films, is to take a situation everybody is familiar with and stand it on its head. Everybody is familiar in both films about blacks and films about whites with the male stud, the guy who wants to have a one-night stand and move on. He's got a dozen girls on a string and so forth. This movie is the opposite. Nola Darling wants to be the independent person. She wants to take lovers and reject them according to her own rhythms or according to her own needs, and her lovers, the men in her life, are the ones who want to be constant. They're the ones who say, I want you to belong only to me, I want to be faithful to you, and they can't understand why she won't go along with that. So in a sense, the men are put in the position that women are so often put in films and in life.
It's one of the most interesting characters because she just stands there and you're waiting for her to be used in traditional film ways, and he doesn't bend her that way. I mean, she has a sexual component, which is true of the way women are typically portrayed, but she is the powerful figure, and she's most interesting.
You can see another thing in this film that you're going to see all through Lee's work, and that is the fact, first of all, there are no white characters in the movie. So nobody is playing toward the white characters, or there's no kind of the racism, either implied or subtle, that would be involved in black-white
you feel like
situation.
you're eavesdropping a little bit.
You're eavesdropping, and you get the entire spectrum of black class structure. The heroine is an artist for a Madison Avenue ad agency. The Spike Lee character is a delivery boy. Somebody else is a professor. Somebody else is kind of a street smart type.
Right.
You have a school counselor in the film. You have all kinds of different people in this film, and we see a spectrum of the black community instead of just these small segments that we've often got, usually involving things like criminals, cops, and things like that.
Well, when we come back, a look at the extraordinary film Spike Lee made in 1982 when he was a student at New York University. It's called Joe's Bed-Stuy Barbershop. We Cut Heads. What is
Tropicana Pure Premium Orange Juice has
special tribute to filmmaker Spike Lee. After his successful low-budget hit She's Gotta Have It, Spike Lee easily could have gone on to direct some kind of mindless mainstream feature film, some action picture, a horror film. He could have chased money, in other words. Instead, he made School Daze, a different kind of musical about a most unusual subject, the way black people discriminate against each other according to the way they dress and the way they wear their hair. The film is set on a black college campus, a place you wouldn't think existed if you looked at other movies. The students here are divided by their skin color and by the way they wear their hair.
You got standing all over your head. When you got sandy spurs, rather have mine instead. You're just a jigaboo, trying to find something to do. Well, you're a wanna be better than me.
It was surprising to see and hear racism within the black community being discussed. Another issue in the film, one of the lead characters wants the black college to get rid of its investments in racist South Africa. Other students have different priorities.
I'll be the first one in my family to go to college. I mean, Dad, man, do you realize what that means? I mean, the first one ever? And all my family has always been sharecroppers and slavery.
And apartheid is slavery.
You can do what you want to do, Dad. I ain't throwing it away for nobody.
Spike Lee also appears in School Daze, playing a would-be fraternity member named Half Pint who must get a girl before he can join his fraternity.
Can't. We could have fun, big fun. Just give me one reason why not, just one.
First of all, I don't know you from Adam. You just pop out of thin air and I'm supposed to say yes?
School Daze reveals a black world that simply hasn't been covered by other films. Black students discussing black issues. This is the world Spike Lee knows so well. He's a third-generation graduate of Morehouse College, and he opens our eyes in a most entertaining way to a world we should know exists. Obviously, there are black students going to college, but you wouldn't know it from looking at today's movies. He's made his people come alive.
That to me is the most amazing thing about all of these films, that for once you do not have the feeling that the black people in these movies are speaking to an invisible white audience and saying the things that audience either should hear or that they want them to hear. They're speaking to each other straight, they're shooting straight from the hip, they're saying exactly what they think without this implicit, almost racist censorship of trying to speak in terms of white expectations. You feel that black people are represented on the screen honestly and fully for almost the first time in commercial Hollywood history.
Well, the other thing that I particularly enjoy is that the movies, for all of the social import we're giving them, are a great deal of fun.
They're fun, yeah.
I mean, the musical sequences, I think, if I have one criticism of his work, I think that sometimes the musical sequence, particularly in school days, go on a little long. As I was watching the films for a second time on a VCR, I'll be honest with you, I sped up some of the musical sequences. I don't know if you did, but you know what I mean? They went on a little bit long. I think they were a little indulgent. But they're there, and I'm seeing music. I'm seeing the guy use every resource of filmmaking that at anyone's command. He's making musical production numbers. Who's doing that today? That's what's so exciting for me.
Another thing you got to say about Spike Lee is, and we haven't mentioned this yet on the show, although it's been obvious in a lot of the clips, he's a good actor. He's got, if he were not a director, if he were only a movie actor, I think he would be more of a star in that field than he is now. I think that we forget in all of these movies that Spike Lee always plays a key role, and he's got that energy, he's got the intelligence and the timing, that kind of sprung rhythm in his voice and the way he repeats things, says things twice in order to kind of make fun of himself.
I like the emphasis. I mean, I like the way he does it also in his editing. He'll repeat a sequence when he wants to emphasize it. I want to clear up maybe one lingering notion that some people have. They say, is this a charity case? Are we being nice to this guy because he is black, a minority member, and so he's only pretty good, but because he's black, we're going to make him real good? And my answer to that question is, I am drawn to this guy because he's a superb filmmaker. If these films had been directed by a Martian, I would be praising them. The films are rich and exciting.
That is, and you've put your finger on something that is very sensitive and very tricky, and that is that word black that comes before
anything.
The black director, the black actor, the black policeman. The thing about Lee's films is that because everybody in his movies is black, with the exception of this last film, you can take out the adjective. It's just these people. And in the same way, you can take out the adjective before Lee too, as far as I'm concerned. When I saw Do the Right Thing for the first time, I was blown away. I mean, I can't remember a film that has had a greater emotional impact on me because it told me exactly the way things are in this country, and it's not good and it's not happy, but it's truthful and it's honest, and that's something that takes a great director to do, and that's what he did.
Well, the other thing is, I've seen this picture about 2 weeks ago. There hasn't been, I don't know if there has been a day when I haven't thought about its quality, and I am planning on seeing it again tonight.
I want to see it again too. We ought to mention that Do the Right Thing is going to open around the country on June the 30th and then roll out into more markets throughout July. And also, School Days and She's Gotta Have It are both available on video, disc, and tape. That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with 2 summer blockbusters, Batman starring Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton, and Ghostbusters 2 starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Sigourney Weaver. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.